Here's the deal, people. Listen, you know what's going on. I'm going live every single day this month interviewing different authors because February for me has become author month this year. Welcome back to another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show where I'm bringing on superstars, investors, entrepreneurs, speakers, you name it. Everybody is coming on this show and we are having absolute blast. And here's the deal. You've probably seen me a couple times today wearing this red jacket. I feel like I've been wearing this since literally like 7 o'clock this morning. I had an interview at 7, then I did a 45-minute keynote at 11. Here I am again at 1 o'clock. And you know what? I might just do another show after this just for the heck of it so I can have so much fun because all we do over here is we make money and have fun.
My motto in life is make money and have fun. I'm on a mission to show everyone how to make money, yeah, and have fun. I'm all about making money and having fun.
It's okay. You're allowed to dance. You can do it. I love it. All right, so here's the deal. I got a really, really cool, super special guest coming on today. Miss Felicia Slattery does all kinds of amazing stuff beyond just book writing. She helps people write their books. She helps people launch their books. She helps people with their speaking career. All kinds of crazy, different things that go on in her world. So I want to hear it from her herself. So let's bring her on stage, Miss Felicia Slattery. What's up, Felicia?
I'm still dancing to your music. I'm sorry.
There you go. You and me both. I love it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Felicia, what's going on? I'm so excited you're here.
It's fantastic. I love it. February is a fantastic month to write a book, right?
Absolutely. Any month is
author month
to write a book.
You know what? I just signed my next contract too last week with a publisher.
Nice.
For
there
my
you go.
8th book. Only 8.
Wow, you got me beat. So I always usually tell this story. So I wrote this book when I was 21.
Yeah.
Just to prove to myself that I could write a book. So I did that. And then around the time I was 24, 25, I realized that all my friends pretty much had books at this time, and most of them had more than one. And I'm like, I can't be the only person with one book. So I wrote this second book.
Okay.
And then I was like, you know what? I gotta outdo most of my friends. I gotta go with a real publishing house and make this a real book. So this spring I got my 3rd book launch coming out, which is going to be super amazing. I'm pumped for that one. That's going to be awesome.
Congratulations. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and then I was like, you know what? I got all these author friends. Why don't I just bring them on here and we'll have some fun. We'll chat about life and all kinds of cool stuff that's going on here. So what about you, Felicia? What's going on in your world?
Well, like I said, I just signed a contract for my 8th book, which is
Nice.
Pretty exciting. When the world shut down almost a year ago, as a professional speaker, my life and the livelihoods of many of the people that I work with and serve suddenly came to a screeching halt. And the events industry has not yet recovered and is not projected to recover until 2022. Probably the later part of 2022. And so we're starting to see some events, smaller events kind of here and there. But a lot of those are finding like, oh, wait, we can't do it just yet. We got to jump to Zoom. So there's a lot of uncertainty still in the speaker world and the events world. And so like a lot of people, I kind of, was shell shocked and looked around and was like, wait, what are we doing here? What am I going to do? And initially, at first, I did what I always do. I thought, how can I help my people? How can I help my speakers be successful during this weird, stressful, uncertain time? And I went live a bunch of times. I did some webinars and I taught people everything you need to know to go online as a speaker. And how do you be successful at that? How do you market yourself as that? And then as the days turned into weeks, the weeks turned into months, and the money wasn't there anymore from speaking, right? Like, let's be honest. If there's no events and you make money as a speaker, there's no money coming in from that way. So what do you do? Well, for me, I started to explore my other interests. At one point in my life, when I was very young, I had a choice to make. Was I going to go down the path of communication and professional speaking? Or was I going to go down the path of something else? Well, obviously I chose communication and speaking. I ended up with 2 master's degrees, created a career for myself. It served me well. I've spoken on stages with people like the late great Zig Ziglar and Michael Port and Bob Berg and Mari Smith. And I can go on and on with some rock stars of some awesome people that I've shared the stage with. But then when COVID hit, I was like, uh-oh, what do I do? And that's when I started to explore this other area that I didn't go down that path when I was very young. And that was the path of cooking. Now, I've been a home cook for a lot of years. And so I absolutely love it. I started a food blog back in 2013 because I needed to keep track of all these recipes I was making, and I was taking pictures of my food and just sharing it on social media like we all do, right? And people are like, "Woo, that looks amazing. What's the recipe?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll write it down." And so for years now, I've been just as a hobby writing and sharing my recipes and sharing my food from time to time. And I thought it would be cool to teach this. And so I found a platform where I could teach cooking online to high school students and I teach to older high school students because I was a college professor at one point in my life teaching, guess what? Public speaking and communication. And so I thought, well, I could teach cooking classes. It would be super fun. And let's face it, younger kids who want to cook, they just have fun, right? They don't have a lot of expectations. And I was like, fantastic. I can cut my teeth here, see if I like it, see how it goes. And it turns out I loved it. My classes sold out, which was awesome. People started finding out about it. That's how this publisher got a hold of me. So I wrote my first book last fall and finished it on December 21st. And then the publisher reached out to me again and said, "We loved it. Can you write a second one?" So that's what I'm doing is I'm starting to build this plant-based home cooking with Felicia Slattery brand. We're developing a TV show. We're developing, I'm even back at the logo development stage, but I don't let that stop me from going forward. I just do stuff and then we fill in the blanks as we go. So I'm in the midst of all this really fun stuff. I've already spoken to somebody about being a keynote speaker on and doing cooking demos on a cruise ship with the biggest names in the plant-based industry. People you see when you look at plant-based documentaries and who write the books and like the biggest rock stars in the industry. And I'll be sharing the stage with them. So it's been really, really fun to grow and build a second brand for myself. And, when I turned 50 last year, I was like, you know what, if I have this dream to have my own TV show and do it for fun and teach people this really cool thing that I'm excited about and passionate about, it's kind of now or never. Not really now or never, but I felt like, you know what, now's the time. Let's do it. So
I love that. That's so cool. I was actually going to mention it, and it's surprising that I didn't, but I was actually going to mention in the intro, I've seen you putting up like these cooking videos. What the heck's going on?
Yeah. So that's what it is. And, it's funny because I am using the same exact skills that I have taught for the last 15 years to my online clients and my consulting clients and my customers who bought my online products and programs about how to be a speaker and how to speak on video and how to be a local celebrity. And all of these things I've taught for years and years and years. And I've done it myself in the speaking world. And now I'm doing the same thing kind of as a proof of concept, so to speak, again and again and again. Now I'm doing it in the cooking world. So I'm just using the same exact skills, the same exact strategies. And I'm just shot out of the gate like a cannon. It is so fun.
That's awesome. That's so cool. It's always amazing to me when people have, I call it like the unconventional entrepreneur in a sense, where they have something that's not really what other people would expect to be a full-time business model. Right. For instance, the guy that made my rap video, like that's all he does. He just, he charges entrepreneurs to make videos for him. And he's made stuff for, Ryan Stewman and, the Bang energy drinks and stuff like that. Like it's a full-time business for him. And so it's so cool whenever I meet people that are like, oh, I'm cooking or I'm gardening or I'm this or I'm that. And they're doing just this fun stuff and making money with it. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, the name of the show is Make Money, Have Fun, right? So that's what
exactly. Exactly. And really, it's so cool that you bring that up. I was talking about this earlier. I gave a 45-minute keynote earlier today, and I was talking about success and what success really looks like. And make money and have fun. A lot of people misunderstand it at first. They think it's a financial thing or something like that. But really, it's all about alignment. It's about creating alignment between the thing that you love to do and the thing that makes you money with it. And when you have that, I mean, it's game over at that point.
Absolutely. It totally comes together. And like, if you're having fun doing something, other people see that. That fun becomes infectious. I think because so many people are actually lacking for fun and passion in their career, in their work lives, maybe even in their day to day, even at home lives. And when they see someone living and having a great time and being passionate about it and being excited about it, it's very easy to be drawn to that.
Exactly.
Even if somebody is happy and even if somebody is having a great time, it's always fun to see somebody else living their best life, doing something that they feel like they've been gifted with, and they're serving others with doing that. I mean, that's how you attract other people into your world.
That's it. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there, because I think that what happens, especially like being steeped in the personal development world, like I've been in for the past almost decade now, it's very much a result driven world where everybody's growth oriented and they're all trying to become millionaires or billionaires or build a business or invest or this or that or whatever, and it's very much money result oriented. Mm-hmm. But what often happens, like you say, is that people become so driven to the money that they forget about the fun along the way. And it's unfortunate, but then you got people like me who are coming in trying to break that mold and just get people to have more fun out there.
Yeah. You're so right. I mean, for a long time in my business, when I would see people like, oh, get 6 figures doing blah, 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 7 figures doing blah, 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 8, and now 7 figures isn't enough. Now it's 8 figures and 10 figures, like, oh, good and gravy. But, so I've never really bought into any of that, 6, 7, 8, whatever figures. I've been blessed to have a nice business, for my family for many years. And my kids go to private school. We have our dream house, which we got 5 years ago, coming up very soon. And we live in the city that we chose to move to. They were like, wow, why did you pick Knoxville? You were in the Chicago area. Like, what? Have you seen the temperature in Chicago this week? Yeah, that's why we moved.
Yes.
So, we looked around the country and said, this is where we want to be. People are like, oh, did you get transferred for a job? Nope. We just wanted to move. And so, we like doing the things that you want to do in your life and finding a way to make that happen and meet your financial goals, whatever they happen to be and whatever they look like. That to me is really the secret of, or the definition of success. It's not how many dollars come in, but the dollars that come in, do they help you do the things that you want to do in your life? Are you achieving the things you want to achieve? And maybe the things you want to achieve, like maybe like since it's Authors Month, maybe the thing you want to achieve is writing a book. And I'm actually helping a client right now. She said her first phone call to me was, I don't want to make any money with this. I have family and friends who've been asking me to write a book about my 30 years as a missionary in the former Soviet Union. And I don't know how to do a book. I've written a lot of work. I've written it all. I don't know how to publish it. I don't know how to put it together. I said, I do. and so that's what we're taught. And so for her goal is not, oh, I want to make $1 million or I want to launch a business or not even I want to fund my ministry. It's just, I want to share my story and get my story out there. And for her, seeing her cover come in just yesterday, she was so excited. Like, oh my gosh, this is like it's really happening. This is a real book. I'm like, it's a real book. And so it's like that for her is her definition of success with this. Not, is she going to make a ton of money and, is this going to launch a big thing? No, for her goal is, I want to write this book so that I can share my story with the people who've been asking me and people who that I've served with, that I can send my thoughts and my prayers and my hopes and my experiences of them to them so that they can read it and enjoy it. Like that fits the definition of success.
Yes. Yep. Couldn't agree more. So that's it for the show today, everybody. We dropped the mic here. Goodbye. See you later. That's all we need. I'm with it. 100%. I wrote about in my first book about going on a journey, right? Most people focus on the destination, but the longer part of any journey is actually, the commute, the traversing of it. And so if you're having fun along the way, that's what makes it. It's like coming back to like the teachings of Landmark Forum and things like that, where it's just like being present in this moment and making the best of it that you can. And it's that for me is the most fun because it's the process of, kind of sculpting your brain and your mindset And it's also just enjoying, right? It's just fulfillment as you go through it. So I totally love that. Let's keep on this this book topic here since we're in author month. So I know that a lot of people, especially like the people viewing this, are in that space of I want to write a book, but I don't know how. I don't know how to get started. I don't know what to do, but I want that validation, that admiration, whatever it is. Maybe it's not the money, maybe it's just something for their own selves, something for their community.
And maybe it is the money, and that's good too. I'm just saying.
Exactly, right? Which is perfectly fine. But I love what you brought up earlier, which is the fact that money is simply a byproduct of value creation. And what that really means, and I explain this to a lot of people who come to me for financial consulting, is that a bag of money sitting in your shed out back is completely useless. It's just heavy. At that point, there's nothing else to it except for weight. But when you transact it for something, whether that something is a car or a vacation or a house or a lifestyle or a course or whatever, then it becomes valuable to you once again. So it's really not the money that people are after. It's the transactional basis of that, right? Or the feeling of security from it. Yep. But anyway, we're digressing. Let's get back on the book thing here. So what advice would you give to the aspiring author, someone who's never written a book, but they want to?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people, this is an interesting concept because a lot of people say they want to write a book and they talk about writing a book and they think about writing a book and they have notebooks where they started to write a book and they wrote like a page or something, or they thought they started to do something and then they felt like they got too busy and they weren't able to write a book. Okay. Those are people who don't actually want to write a book. So you have to, first of all, think to yourself, do I want to write a book or do I want to think about writing a book? And if you just want to think about writing a book someday, that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong. Like for me, I thought about being a TV cook. I never did anything about it because I was busy doing other things in my life. I didn't really want to do it. I wanted to think about doing it. I wanted to keep it as a dream for myself because let's face it, what if I try this thing and I flop? Like, what if I suck at it? I'm not going to suck at it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what if it doesn't go well? What if, I don't know, what if bad things happen, right? So it's easy to keep it as a dream. It's easy to keep it as saying, oh, someday I want to maybe. It's easy to say, oh, I'm gonna. But when you're ready to do the thing, nothing can stop you. So first thing you got to do is make a commitment to the goal. That's the first thing. Second thing is if you really don't know what to do next, well, if you want to write a book, writers write. There's that. Writers also read. So read the kind of books that you want to write because that will give you inspiration. That will give you a model. So just keep reading all of the kinds of books, whether it's personal development, like I know, Fred, you're interested in, whether it's cooking and cookbooks. Like I have read cookbooks. I'm not kidding you. I read cookbooks like other people read a novel. I open the book on the first page and I look through all the pages and I read all the recipes and I read all the head notes and I read all the things, all the tips. I'm like, ooh, that's a good tip, right? Like I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, I love that. Oh, they didn't say this tip about, the avocado or whatever, right? So like it starts to inspire you the more you read things that you want to write about. So that's the second thing. The third thing is decide what it is that you want to write. What's your message? What's it going to be? And who is it going to be for? So that we'll say that's 3 and 4, right? What do you want to write and who is it going to be for? All of these steps are very important steps before you sit down in front of your computer with the cursor blinking at you. If you get to that point, when you get to that point where that computer cursor is blinking at you and you're like, now what? Here's something that has happened. Many people have gotten writer's block, right? We've heard of that. Has anybody ever heard of speaker's block? No, that's not a thing. So when I work with my clients, how I help them write books, very easy. We get on a call similar to this, but private and not for the world to see. And I ask them questions about everything and anything, whatever they want to have in their book. I ask them questions. So you don't have to have somebody who's been a professional interviewer. I had a radio show for a few years and I've interviewed people. I've taught interviewing classes at the university level. I've taught interviewing to entrepreneurs. Like I know how to ask a question. That's all I'm saying. So like when you don't have to have somebody who's professionally done this before. You just need to have somebody who can ask you a question, because if somebody asks you, Hey, can you tell me about blah? Or what's the biggest mistake that somebody who's interested in whatever it is you're writing about could make about whatever? Or, if you wanted to write fiction, you could like, well, what would be the characters' names? Oh, they would be this. Well, where would they be from? What would they be doing? Like, it doesn't matter if you're writing a cookbook. Well, what recipes would you include? And what would you put in them? And whatever, like, just get on a recorded line. Zoom is free, by the way, zoom.us. If you don't already know it and have it, like the whole world, get it for free. You and one other person can talk for as long as you want. You can record it and it'll stay on your computer and it'll be there. If it's you and one other person, it's as long as you want. If you add another person, they only give you 40 minutes, but you and another person talk forever. It's fine. So get that recording. Get that recording transcribed. There's places you can do it and get it transcribed online for very inexpensively. And then you've got a draft of something you can start with. And it's easier to start with something than it is to start with that blinking cursor looking at you and you're like, I don't know what to do next. Because once you've got something written down in front of you, now you've got something to massage, to work with, to edit, to move things around, to say, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I want to add that. Oh, I want to pull this out. That was the dumbest thing to ever say. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot about this story. I'm going to tell this story in this spot, and then just write your story out. And if you don't think you're a great writer, then get on, record yourself by yourself again and say, hey, I want to tell you a story about blah, 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 and share your story, whatever that story happens to be. Record it, get that part of it transcribed, stick that into, just get it as a Word document, stick it into where it belongs in the book, wherever it makes sense for you. And that's how you start to develop your book. It's really very simple. Once you go back to that step number one, make the commitment that you want to do it.
I love that. That was.
See, I'm more than
this
just
once or
a good
twice
cook.
before, right? I love it. That was perfect. I think that was a perfect description. Step one, obviously, is the biggest thing. Committing your mind to it and making it something that you really want to do. Like I said, I keep bringing this up because it's so fresh. I just talked about on my keynote that I did earlier today, the number one key to all success. And it's this idea of going all in on it. It's just once you commit to it, it becomes that much easier. And I love there is no such thing as speaker's block, only writer's block, which I found so much easier. I wrote my first book. It took me a year and a half to write this because I'm a slow writer. I get distracted very easily. And
by the way, you and most other people.
Right. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's not uncommon. My book that's coming out in the spring, I wrote in 6 months because I didn't write it. I spoke it. Like you said, I brought in a team of professionals to help me put it together. And, now it was able to hit the market much faster than I ever could have done it by myself. So I think that absolutely is just spot on with it. So what about, let's talk about publishing for a minute. Because I know that some people compete in their head over self-publishing versus going to a professional publishing house. What are your kind of thoughts when it comes to publishing that way?
It's pretty simple. If you have a platform of people already following you, already interested in you, already interested in what you have to share, then it's very easy to get a publisher. That's the first question that publishers ask. They may not word it exactly like this, but it's, what's your platform? That's really what they want to know. Beyond that, then if you don't have a platform, if you don't have people, and when I say people following you, I don't mean like, your mom and your uncle and, and your cousin for third removed, 5 states over, like not those people, but people who've never met you before, who you have never met before, who know you and know your work and follow your work and click like on your stuff. And maybe you've been invited to be on podcasts before, and maybe you've got a YouTube channel, or maybe you've got a big social media following, or whatever it is, right? Maybe you've got a big list of subscribers for your business. Like, again, whatever it is, maybe you're a local celebrity, so somebody in Miami, Florida doesn't know you, but everybody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania does. Great. So some kind of platform is what a publishing house is looking for. If you have that, then by all means, speak to publishers and go that route. If you do not have a platform, you can do it. Anything can be done. And many people have done it, but it's difficult and it takes more time. And it's like a whole nother full-time job to find a publisher. So in that instance, if you just want to get your book out to the world and get it going, by goodness sakes, like get it out there, then self-publish. And that's how you start to build your platform. And maybe you can self-publish one of your first books and then build that platform, use the book to build the platform so that if you ever decide you want to write a second book, now you've got that platform to show to the publisher. Again, I'm not saying that you can't get a publisher if you have zero platform, because let's face it, we could point to all kinds of famous authors who've, written and also sold millions and millions of copies of books, right? So who had zero platform and found a publisher, and then the publisher, they published the book and they made millions of dollars. So absolutely that can be done. But if you're just sitting at home in your head and you're like, well, gosh, what's my path going to be? Well, if your path is you want people to be holding your book in their hands. This is one of my books. This is just a journal that I did. I did this in 6 days, and this is my own personal journal. I created it because I use it myself. And I needed something to use myself, but this is an actual journal. And I was like, I want this book to be just done. I have relationships with publishers. I could pick up the phone and call. I can, like, right now I'm thinking of a half a dozen publishers. So I could say, hey, would you publish my book? And they would go, okay, when will you have me the manuscript? I mean, like, it's because I've been in that world for so long, and I'm lucky and blessed to have those relationships. But for that book, I was like, I'm just going to publish it myself. And I did. So it's very easy to publish a book on your own. It's a detailed process, but you don't have to have any kind of specialized education. And the truth is, if you have plenty of time to do the research, just go to YouTube. There are videos that will show you every single step of the way what to do. You just have to decide that's how you want to do it. Choose the publishing house that you want to go to. Choose the, how do you find your book designer for the interior layout? How do you find the designer for the cover layout? What needs to go on the back cover? What needs to go on the front cover? What needs to go inside the book to make it look like it's a real book? The front matter, it's called, by the way. So you need to learn stuff. And sometimes people don't know what they don't know, which is why it pays to work with a consultant who has been down this path. But if you have more time than you have money, the information's out there for free. You just got to spend your time trying to find it. If you've got a few dollars to spend, hire an expert, somebody who knows what they're doing, so you don't have to beat your head up against the wall forever and ever trying to figure it out. Just pay somebody who knows how to do it and get her done. So either way, you can do it. And it's just a lot of fun to get your book out there in the world.
Absolutely. I think that's the perfect answer. I've heard pros and cons to both in terms of, whatever, like different, distribution and then, ease of production, and then,
royalties and money and all that
things. Kind of stuff. But, like you said, I think that, figuring out what you want to do with it and what's important to you, and also looking at your network is a huge one. Mm-hmm. And then, just kind of going from there. All right. So we've hit the how to write a book process. We've hit the how to publish a book process. Now, what about after the book is out? I know that a lot of people have different goals when it comes to this, and a lot of people, and I'd like to see your mentality on this, but a lot of people subscribe to the whole, you don't make money off of books idea. You make money off of the thing that comes from the books, whether it be speaking engagements or coaching or masterminds or whatever, that kind of a thing. What kind of opportunities, I guess, would be the best way to ask it. What kind of opportunities would you say come from writing a book and having it published and that kind of stuff?
Okay, well, don't tell my publisher or Amazon that sends me royalties every single month that you can't make money from a book. I'm just saying, don't tell them, because maybe they'll stop sending me the money that I make every month from having books. So, which, I love.
Mum's the word.
Thanks. But no, so really what comes with a book, yes, you can make money from a book. Absolutely. Can you get rich from a book? Yes. The likelihood of getting rich just from the sales of the book on their own, one book, you're getting a little bit, into rare territory. Unless you've got a plan. And then, like you said, you have a back end in place. You have a plan for the book. Where's it going to go? What's it going to point to? But the book can bring you tons of opportunities. So one of the opportunities I think I talked about a little bit earlier is being able to speak on this cruise ship, which again, that'll be 2022. There's, so speaking on this cruise ship with the literal rock stars, the everyday household names of the biggest doctors and authors in the plant-based industry, And what my ticket to make that happen? Having a book. You have to have a book to be able to sell on the ship. That's the ticket to entry. If you've got a book that you can sell, then they'll talk to you. It doesn't guarantee you a spot, but I'm probably going to get a spot. So I've spoken a few times before and on a few cruises, and I have a few, 100,000 testimonials, whatever. So, but if I didn't have a book, doesn't matter how great I would be on stage, doesn't matter how engaging I am and how fun and how much the audience might love me, I'm not getting a spot on that stage. So having a book, if you want to be a speaker, the world isn't going to always be shut down. The events industry isn't always going to be shut down. Now's the time, write your book. And because when you're ready to get on stages, when the world is ready to have stages and people in rooms again, where we can congregate and see each other and hug each other and shake hands and all the things. Anyway, I digress. But once that all happens, you'll have your book, because I'll tell you, meeting planners are not looking to pay for speakers unless the speakers have a book, because it is so easy to put together a book and publish a book and have it out there. So if you do not have a book, don't even think twice. You will not be, most meeting planners are not hiring speakers without a book. I know this because I talk to meeting planners. I talk to speakers bureaus, and the speakers bureaus that I know personally, the people who run them, have said, I've dropped everyone who doesn't have a book because no event planners want them. So having a book opens the opportunity for you to be on stage if you would like to do that someday. It also opens the opportunity for you to do some direct marketing. Use your book to reach out to higher ticket kinds of clients. If you want to be mentioned in the press, your book helps you get mentioned in the press. If you want to write for some big publications like an Entrepreneur or a Fortune or a Forbes or any of those that pay people, they pay people to write. You don't have to do it for free. You can get paid. If you want to do that, having a book just gives you that upper level, that a step above anyone else who doesn't have a book. So you share your expertise in that book, and that opens so many doors for you.
I love that. Perfect. It's so cool, because I've heard it said before that author is the beginning of authority, right? It's the first letters in the word authority.
Yep.
And it kind of just makes sense, what you're saying. I think that, and I said this with one of my previous guests, I forget if it was like 2 or 3 guests ago, but I think that a lot of people get in their own way, especially when it comes to writing a book. They put all these roadblocks and these obstacles up, and they make it seem like it's this really big insurmountable task, when in reality it's just as hard or as easy as anything else, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
so I think that anybody can do it. Anybody should do it. And I think that it's definitely so much fun and so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the process may not feel fun when you're sitting in front of your computer and you're like, what do I write next? But it can be. Like, I find myself getting lost in my writing and getting lost in, because if you love what you're writing about, you love your content, and you love the people that you're writing the content for, it is easy to love what you're doing and to see those little road bumps and things like, I don't know what the heck size cover it's going to be. I don't know what the trim size is. Like, you run into stuff and you're like, oh, what? I don't know. It's easy to go, all right, well, I got to figure this out so that I can get to my goal. And that's really, I think what you have to realize is you want to always have your goal in mind. The finish line is down here. What do I have to do to get to that finish line down there? And if there's a hurdle in the way, well, you got to jump over that hurdle. You got to get to that finish line. And so just keep going, keep moving forward every day, move forward and make it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that totally just sums it up. Like, you just made book writing easy for everybody out there that never wrote a book. I love it. So Felicia, what's I guess the cooking would, I usually ask what's next for you, but I guess your cooking thing now you're all in on that one. I love
all
it.
in. Yeah. We're developing a logo. There'll be a YouTube channel. Right now, I do have a Facebook group where I'm sharing videos and recipes, and it's attached to a URL, plantbasedhomecooking.com. So it's on Facebook. It's Plant-Based Home Cooking with Felicia Slattery, but it's very easy to find. And so just writing my next cookbook. I've got a deadline on Thursday with the publisher. So I'm working on the recipes and getting some things developed for that, which is really fun. And we'll be doing some headshots pretty soon for the new brand and building out a new website and kind of the fun parts of the branding process. Yeah.
That's always the part that I loved. If you can't tell, I like all the lights and the camera and the fun backgrounds and the fun red jacket, just kind of brand it all up, make it look good.
Absolutely.
I love that. So what advice would you leave our listeners with today, the first-time book writers, the aspiring authors? What would you say to them as kind of your parting words for everybody as we say goodbye here?
If you have a dream, ask yourself, is now the time? And if now is the time, nothing can stop you. Just move forward, one step, one day at a time.
Perfect. I love it. Felicia, thank you so much for being here. This is so fun. I love bringing people on this show every day. Did you have a good time?
I did. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is cool stuff. You're making me hungry now, thinking of all these different recipes and cookbooks and all that stuff. I gotta head over to your Facebook page, over to your website, plant-based cooking, plant-based home cooking.com.
That's it.
Go check out what you got going on over there. And man, I'm excited for everything that we got going forward. All right. On that note, we will see everybody again tomorrow for our next edition of Author Month. See you, Felicia.
Bye.
See you, everybody.